All right, we're going to pick up with part 2 on the study guide. Notice that for topic 3, proving triangles similar, we are omitting that part. We did not do that lesson in this unit. So topic 3, numbers 10 and 11, and number 12 through 15, those are all omitted. We're going to pick up here with topic 4. All right. All right, for number 16, we started talking about those special relationships when you have parallel lines. And remember, these relationships can only be used if you have the parallel symbols on the lines, which are those little arrows. Those little arrows are the only way that you can use this particular type of ratio. So for this first ratio here, remember, we have little piece over little piece equals little piece over little piece. So we're going to do 18 over 21. Equals, so we did 18 over 21 equals x over something. Now, we need this little piece right here, and we can't get that little piece from the 28. So if we do 28 minus 21, we get that that little piece is 7. So this would be x over 7. All right, go ahead and solve that for x. So to solve that for x, you cross multiply. 18 times 7 is 126 equals 21x. Divide both sides by 21. And 126 divided by 21 is that x equals 6. All right, let's do it again for number 17. Number 17, they gave us all of the pieces that we need. We just have to set up the ratio and solve. So go ahead. Set up your ratio for this problem and solve for x. All right, to set up this ratio, we're going to do x plus 5 over 5x plus 1 equals 15 over 35. Now we're going to cross multiply. 35 times x plus 5 equals 15 times 5x plus 1. And then we distribute. I'm going to write that up here so I have a little bit more room. 35 times x is 35x plus 35 times 5 is 175 equals 15 times 5 is 75x plus 15 times 1 is 15. I always move my smaller x, so I'm going to subtract 35x from both sides. So my 175 comes down. 75x minus 35x is 40x. And then my 15 comes down. Then I'm going to move my 15 over to the other side using subtraction. 175 minus 15 is 160 equals 40x. Divide by 40 and x equals 4. All right, this works the exact same way when you have sets of parallel lines as shown in 18 and 19. So let's go ahead and set up our ratio for 18 and solve for x. That ratio that you should have set up would have been 40 over 32 equals x over 14. Cross multiply. 40 times 14 is 560 equals x times 32, 32x. Divide both sides by 32. And x is equal to 17.5. All right, let's do this again in number 19. Set up your proportion and solve. So 24 over 27 equals x plus 6 over 2x minus 2. Cross multiply. 24 times 2x minus 2 equals 27 times x plus 6. Distribute. 24 times 2x is 48x. Minus 24 times 2 is 48. Equals 27 times x is 27x. Plus 27 times 6 is 162. I always move my smaller x. So I subtract 27x from both sides. 48 minus 27x is 21x. My minus 48 comes down, equals 162 comes down. Add 48 to both sides. Okay, and then 21x, I'm going to write that over here so I have more room. 21x, the 48's cancel, equals 162 plus 48, 210. Divide by 21, and x equals 10. All right, let's move on to page 32, last but not least. All right, so in 20 and 21, it says determine if DE is parallel to AC. Now remember, to tell if they're parallel, set up the proportion, cross multiply, and if you get the same number when you cross multiply, those lines are parallel. So go ahead and set up that proportion now and tell me if these lines are parallel for number 20. So the ratio you should have set up would have been 6 over 10 equals 15 over 36. Cross multiply. When you cross multiply, you get 6 times 36, which is 216, equals 15 times 10, 150. And since these are not equal to each other, this is not parallel. So I hope you chose no. All right, let's try the next one. So remember, you need this smaller piece. So the first thing you need to do is do 64 minus 28 to get that smaller piece. So this smaller piece is 36. Now, set up the proportion and see if the lines are parallel. So you should have set up the proportion. 36 over 20.7 equals 28 over 16.1. 36 times 16.1 is 579.6 equals 28 times 20.7 is 579.6 also. So since you got the same thing when you cross multiplied, yes, these lines are parallel. All right, the next section of this deals with altitudes, angle bisectors, and medians. We'll remember that. Yes, it does. 22 and 23. So let's start with 22. For 22, notice that you have the altitudes, and you know that they are the altitudes because of the right angles. So remember, when you're setting up proportions for altitudes, it's altitude over side equals altitude over side. All right, so go ahead, set up those proportions, and solve. Hopefully you set up altitude is x over side is 35 equals altitude is 24 over side is 42. Cross multiply. 42x equals 35 times 24, which is 840. Divide by 42, and x should equal 20. All right, let's do the next one. The next one deals with medians. And we know that it deals with medians because it has the tick marks on the sides showing that they're equal. Remember, when you are dealing with medians, you set up your proportion. Median over side equals median over side. Go ahead and set up that proportion and solve for x now. Hopefully the proportion you set up was 16, which is this median, over this side of 28.8, equals 11, which is this median, over x, which is this side. Cross multiply, 16 times x is 16x, equals 28.8 times 11, which is 316.8. Divide by 16, and x should equal 19.8. All right, next we're dealing with angle bisectors in number 24. So remember, same thing again. When you're dealing with angle bisectors, it should be angle bisector over side equals angle bisector over side. So set up your proportion, cross multiply, and solve for x now. So this proportion should be 48, because that's the angle bisector, over 7x minus 10 equals 32, which is that angle bisector, over 3x plus 5. Cross multiply, 48 times 3x plus 5 equals 32 times 7x minus 10. Distribute, 48 times 3x is 144x, plus 48 times 5 is 240, equals 32 times 7x, which is 224x, minus 32 times 10 is 320. Now I always choose to move my smaller x first, so I'm going to subtract 144x from both sides. I'm going to write this up here so I have more room. So my 240 comes down, equals 224 minus 144 equals 80x. And then my negative 320 comes down as well. I'm going to add 320 to both sides. So 240 plus 320 is 560. Our 80x comes down. Divide by 80. And x equals 7. All right, the last two questions deal with an angle bisector that creates proportions in only one triangle. Remember, in these types of problems, you set it up with the side over the little piece, so x over 18 equals the side over the little piece, which is 40 over, we have to do 34 minus 18 here, and 34 minus 18 is 16, so this little piece is 16. Now cross multiply and solve for x. So 16x equals 18 times 40, which is 720. Divide by 16. And x equals 45. Last but not least, number 26. You have to be a little careful with 26 because this is the one where you have the x as the long piece. So in order to get this small piece right here, we have to do x minus 9. So now when we set up our proportion, it should be side over little piece. So 22.5 over 9 equals side 25 over little piece x minus 9. Cross multiply and solve. 22.5 times x minus 9 equals 9 times 25, 225. So distribute 22.5 times x. I'm going to write this up here. 22.5x minus 22.5 times 9 is 202.5 equals 225. I'm going to add 202.5 to both sides. $22.5x comes down, equals 225 plus 202.5 is 427.5. 427.5. Divide by 22.5. And x equals 19. All right, make sure you study for your test. Good luck and have a great Red Devil Day.